What's up, boys and girls? It's your boy Rust Dog here to get you some spicy combat videos for Discord and Abray. Is that how I'm supposed to start these? I'm not sure. Alright, so combat for D&D as well as Abray with combat. And then we'll get into spell casting. Buckle in, we're in for a long ride. So, first things first, we have our character sheet. This is my level 7 character for one of my tabletop campaigns. I am Gorzrog, the level 5 sorcerer, level 2 warlock. So I have a lot of things that are going to look a little bit bigger than what you guys have right now at level 1. That's okay. The principles will kind of remain the same. So, first things first, we're going to talk about combat. So, should your character choose to participate in combat, you're going to do what's called rolling initiative. Notice here on your character sheet, you have an initiative bonus. When we roll initiative in Discord, it's going to automatically calculate your initiative bonus. Okay? So first things first, I better make sure that I get my character uploaded. Share the link. Copy, gotcha. Done. Da-da-da. Switched over to Gorzrog. Life is good there. Okay, so this is kind of my basic average stats sheet for Gorzrog. And so, now, when I look at my character sheet, when we roll initiative, what initiative will do is determine the order in which characters act, as well as the NPCs. So, for example, there are 6 of you in this campaign, and then I will also have monsters. So for the situation that you are running into now, there is one ogre and then some sturges. The ogre and the sturges will also roll initiative. And we will start at the top and we'll work our way down to figure out, okay, who goes first, and then we'll work one by one from there. It is possible that you may roll simultaneously. Basically, it'll be up to you guys and who wants to act first. You guys act at the same initiative. So, how do we roll initiative? I will... I think it is... Yep. So, I begin, and the first thing that'll happen is it'll go, oh, we pinned a message. Your initiative order, once we start combat each time, is going to be listed in this pinned message here. And you're going to get a message. Everyone roll for initiative. Okay? I'm the only one that's in here. You guys should not get a notification for this. Usually, if we're in story, you guys will. If you have a character sheet set up, you type init join, exclamation init join, or, as you saw what I did, exclamation I works just the same. And then join. I myself, as the DM, then will add monsters to the combat. So, as Gorzrog, I roll. Notice my +1 is already added here. So I have the +1 for initiative. It has already done that. So I rolled a 5. Notice Gorzrog Frosthide occurs at initiative order 5. And then I can add a goblin. Okay? So now the goblin gets to go before I do. And roll the 5 + 2 is 7. We're going to add a couple more goblins just for the sake of... So now we can see the goblins go first, because they all rolled higher than Gorzrog. That's pretty typical for Gorzrog. And so they'll go first. Begin the combat by going next, okay? You take your turn. Your turn occurs in effectively three potential phases. You can move you can move up to your character's speed. It can be broken up. You could move 10 feet, do something, and move 20 feet more. You could move 10 feet, do something, move 10 feet. use your bonus action, and then move the last of your movement. You kind of get to choose that on your turn. So, movement, then you have actions. If you take a look at your sheet, you have a spot called actions. And it's going to kind of break down for you what are the things that you can do on the action portion of your turn. Gorzrog could fire a longbow. He's terrible at it. He's not ever going to do that. He did it once. It was awful. Gorzrog wields a warhammer. It's actually enchanted by some kind of demon or extraterrestrial being. Gorzrog hasn't figured it out yet. All he knows is it tells him to do cool stuff. He can swing that. He can use Firebolt, Chromatic Orb, Witch Bolt, Eldritch Blast. He can punch somebody, kick somebody, headbutt them, whatever it is. That's all referred to as an unarmed strike. Gorzrog is a Dragonborn, so he has Breath Weapon. Then it'll give you actions in combat that you can perform. Attack, cast a spell. Dash. What dash means is you can use an action to move your speed again. So if my character's speed for Gorzrog is 30 feet, as an action, I can take the dash action and I can move another 30 feet. Or an additional movement, basically. I could choose to only move 15, 10, whatever. Disengage. Okay? Disengage is effectively if you are in melee range of somebody, the disengage action makes it so that when you move away, they can't attack you. When in melee range, if you go to move away, your aggressor has the opportunity for an attack of opportunity, meaning they get a free swing at you as you turn your back to run. Disengage makes it so that they cannot do that. Dodge. The dodge action would be if you're preparing yourself for an incoming strike. It's kind of like patiently waiting in defensive stance. Grapple. Grapple would be as, say, your barbarian is doing stuff. He might decide, okay, I'm just going to tackle this guy to the ground. Maybe we don't want to kill him, or maybe he has some information that we want, so I'm going to grapple him. And when we get to somebody wanting to grapple, we can address that. The help action. Let's say somebody's trying to climb a ladder, or they're trying to unlock a door during the combat. You can take the help action, which will give them extra benefits. Could be advantage, could be an add to the die roll, things like that. The hide action. The hide action basically makes it so that you can stealth and not be seen. Very, very good for rogues. The improvise action, I'm not as familiar with the improvise action. That might be an improvised weapon. I would have to look that up. The ready action. Let's say you're in a tense situation and you're not sure exactly what's going to happen next. You can ready either a spell or an attack for a specific trigger. So for example, let's say you're not sure whether this Atin is going to be aggressive or not. You might ready your longbow for an attack should it act aggressively. If it makes an attack on any of your party, you can choose then to unleash an arrow. Back up the mic a little bit here. Looks like I'm getting a little too far in. Okay. The search action. Let's say you are in the desert or something, a sandy area of some sort. You can use the search action to actively search for something. The shove action is what it sounds like. You can use your action to push someone. And then use an object. You might have a key to unlock a door or something like that. That would be using an object. Okay. And then reactions. You can, sometimes you'll have spells that are reactions, but for the most part, an attack of opportunity is a reaction most people have. And then the third portion of your turn is bonus actions. Some of you might have spells that can be used as a bonus action. Some of you might have two-weapon fighting, like the rogues or the barbarians. Maybe you're wielding two daggers. You can stabby McStab stab with one dagger, and then stabby McStab stab with another dagger. Pretty good at it when you have two-weapon fighting. So, as a bonus action, Gorzrog has the ability to cast Hex and Wrathful Smite. Both of those are okay. So then, basically what's going to happen is you're going to take your turn, so the goblin... Goblin moves to engage Gorzrog. Okay? In the commands subset, you will see in-combat commands and then game commands. This is where you'll be able to see, okay, this is how I do things in combat. It'll give you a nice summary. I'm not going to go through that right now. When we get to different things that you're trying to do, you can focus on. What I really want to focus on right now is... Okay. It's now Gorzrog's turn. So, let's assume he defended against all those goblins with Gorzrog developments. Don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. Okay, now it's Gorzrog's turn. Gorzrog wants to cast a spell, so we're going to go to the spells portion of our character. So, let's get that stuff out of here. Not sure how that's going to mix out, but we'll see. Okay. So, as a sorcerer, as we have on our team, I can cast spells. The cantrips do not take any type of spell slots. They are basically free spells. Your character knows them inside and out like the back of their hand. Time. This is how long it takes to cast this spell. Basically, it's going to say 1A for one action, or it's going to say 1BA for one bonus action. On your turn, you can cast once any spell that requires a spell slot, so anything first level and higher, and you can cast a cantrip. You can never cast two spells in the same turn that take spell slots. The rules are set up against that. From what I understand, druids have some pretty wonky combos that could fire off if they were able to do that. So, it's not very common that you're going to be casting more than one spell in your turn anyway, but just be aware. One spell can be of a level, and the other one has to be a cantrip. Okay, so my cantrips I can cast and target as usual. You can go through and you can read what the spell does. And again, like we said before, cantrips, once you know them, you know them. We can take a look at adjusting it if it doesn't work the way that you thought it did, or something like that. Typically not often do we retcon that, but it is possible. Okay? Then, as a sorcerer and warlock, I have spell slots. I can cast any spell on this list up to this number of times combined. So I could choose to cast Catapult once. I could choose to cast Charm Person a couple of times. Maybe I Hex, and then I can Witch Bolt a couple of times. Notice all of my spell slots are used at this point. I would no longer be able to cast spells at first level. Notice I can't cast this anymore. But wait, there's more! For now, you guys will only have first level spells. That's how it shakes out, not a big deal. As you go up in level, you'll start to get second level spell slots. Second level spell slots are then going to allow you to be able to cast some of the same spells that were on the first level list, but at higher levels. So you could cast it and get maybe higher damage. So The catapult spell at first level does 3d8 damage, but at second level, it does 4d8 damage, and so forth. And then there are also second level spells that you will get on your spell list as well. So, like for example, invisibility, I can cast that. It is just a second level spell. I could not use a first level spell slot to cast it. Has to be a second level spell slot. And then I would use it. So I could also cast Levitate, and then let's say I decide 2d12 is better than 1d12, so let's go ahead and cast Witch Bolt. So now my second level spells are all tapped out. But wait! I'm a level 5 sorcerer. I also have third level spell slots. The same principle applies. Once you get third level spell slots, there is only one spell that fits any situation. It is Fireball. So I choose to cast Fireball twice, because Fireball, and nothing but Fireball. Okay, so you will cast that in the chat. So, with my one fireball, because they all failed, fuck them, and they're now all dead. Oh, nope, this guy passed, but he's still dead. Still dead, because fireball. Okay? So that is casting a spell. As a sorcerer, when you learn spells, those are the spells you know. That's it. Okay? We'll get into that in a little bit. But we want to go back to combat. So, now that I've taken my turn, I can choose to move, I can take a bonus action, whatever the case is. We go through the entirety of the initiative order. There it is. Once combat is resolved, maybe it was negotiated out, or maybe we killed all of the aggressors, whatever the case is. Okay? Then I'll end the combat and we'll basically go through the resolution as far as here's the aftermath. If we get through the bottom of the list and everybody has acted and we still have action happening, we go back to the top of the list, and so on. Okay? Combat's kind of one of those we'll get more of a feel for it as we go along. Okay. We're going to end the combat portion there. Your turn, again, going to consist of movement, action, bonus action. Okay. So, now we're going to talk about overall principles of magic users. So, let's go to our casting classes. Let's start with a cleric. We have a cleric in our group. Welcome to clerics. So, you'll notice spellcasting for clerics. As a conduit for divine power, you can cast cleric spells. See spells rules for general rules of spellcasting, and spell list for the cleric spell list. Preparing and casting spells. This is going to be important for you casters. This is going to tell you what you can and can't do as your class. So, the cleric table shows you how many spell slots. The cleric table is up here. So as a first level, our Water Genasi is going to have 2 first level spell slots, and they will know 3 cantrips. You will have already selected those. You didn't realize it, but you've already done it. Okay? To cast one of these spells, you must expend a slot of the spell's level or higher. You regain all expended spell slots when you finished a long rest. A long rest is effectively overnight. It doesn't have to be at night, but it's 8 consistent hours of rest. Not necessarily all sleep. You do have to sleep eventually, but your long rest doesn't have to all be sleep. But that's the common fashion in which people get long rests. So, as a cleric, you prepare the list of cleric spells that are available to you to cast choosing from the cleric spell list. What does this mean? It means you can choose your cleric spells, your wisdom modifier, plus your level. So at level 1, if our Water Genasi's level is level 1, and then his wisdom is plus 2, for example. So let's get our handy little calculator over here. That's a little too large. Let's shrink that back down. Holy potatoes, Batman. This is way too big. We don't need a calculator to do that. So, our cleric is level 1. He has a plus 2 to his modifier, so he can prepare up to 3 spells. What does that mean? This is going to be important for you druids as well. Druids are the same in this sense. What that means is you can take a look at any of the spells for which you have spell slots. So in this case, we only have first level spell slots as a first level cleric. So we can take a look at the entire list of cleric first level spells, and we can choose up to 3 of them to have prepared for that day. So basically it means each day, each given game day, you will choose up to this number of spells. And you know that those spells, they're prepared, they're in your mind, and you can cast them. The next day, you can choose a different set of spells. So, let's go to spells list. So we have cleric. So we want to make sure we look at only things that are first level. We're going to filter. That means, as a cleric, you can cast you can prepare any of these spells. Shield of Faith, Sanctuary, Purify Food and Drink, Protection from Evil and Good, blah, 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 blah. You can choose any 3 of these to prepare for the day. So let's say then you know, okay, we're going to go into this cavern and we're going to go fight some ropers. Okay? Healing Word then as a cleric might be a good thing. But let's say you're basically just going to be spending a week downtime of making sure that, you know, we're prepared for whatever comes next. You might then choose to detect good and evil because you're going to go do some negotiating. You might choose to get some protection from evil. You might choose to purify food and drink. Maybe you're going to go help some of the poor people in town. You want to make sure that they're not eating anything that's not healthy for them. Your prerogative. You can do whatever you want. So, then you would choose those spells, and they would then comprise your spell list. Okay? That is preparing spells, clerics, druids. As you guys level up, your prepared spells will then be able to increase. The cantrips, again, once you learn them, that's it. You just always have them prepared. They're always there. You don't have to prepare them or anything. You have them all the time. Okay. That's clerics and druids. If you still have questions, feel free to ask. We're here to learn, right? We're here to help and we're here to learn. So, let's go back to our classes. Oh, this is going to open up my sheet again. So, rules, that was clerics and druids. We have no monks. We don't have a paladin. So our next, we talked about sorcerer. Again, sorcerers, you're going to know what the spells on your list. So once you learn them, they're just there. You can just pick from whatever it is you know. Because your magic casting is inherent. It's part of your nature. You don't have to prepare anything. It's just your list is your list. Same thing for warlocks. The difference with warlocks. We don't have anybody that's a warlock right now, but I'm going to cover it. When you are a warlock, you don't get multiple levels of spells. You start out with spell slots that start out at first level. And then you gain a couple extra spell slots, but they stay at first level. And then eventually you'll get to second level, and then any spell you cast is at that level. So you don't have a range of spell slot levels, you just always have whatever the top for your table is. And your spell slots regenerate after short rests, because your patron doesn't like you to be ill-equipped. And then, my friends, we have the Wizards. Welcome to the Wizards. So, notice again, we have the table. You get to know 3 cantrips. You get 2 first level spell slots. A spell book. This is going to be important. Your spell book will tell you what spells you can choose from each day. Wizards are very similar to clerics and druids in that they will need to prepare spells each day. The list, however, is not, I go look at a wizard list and I see what's there because that's really awesome. It's limited to what is in your spell book. So your spell book could contain 15 first level spells, but you still only get to select a certain number of those first level spells that are in your book. Okay? So at first level, you have a spell book containing 6 first level wizard spells. So our wizards will have a book, 6 first level spells that you know. That's where you keep track of what you know and what you don't. Then at the beginning of each day, you will then choose from the stuff that you know to prepare for that day. Very similar to clerics and druids. And again, it's going to be your intelligence modifier. Get out of here, magic missiles. Everybody casts magic missiles. It's boring. Don't do it. Very powerful, but don't do it. Your intelligence modifier plus your wizard level. Wizards are very known for having high intelligence, so we're going to give you a +3 plus your first level wizard. So of these 6 first level spells that are in your book, you can choose 4 of them to have prepared for that day. That means you might have a couple that, sorry suckers, maybe tomorrow. Okay? So, that is the difference between your spellcasters and how you will go about your spellcasting each day. Hopefully that's relatively clear. Hopefully that helps to kind of clear up some of the questions as far as differences between them and how you will actually use spells and things like that. These sections in the rules, if you have questions, don't be afraid to go here and read too. It can be quicker to ask, don't be afraid to ask, but don't be afraid to come here and read either. Your spells that you cast, no matter what type of caster you are going to operate in 2 ways. One of 2 ways. Way number 1 is going to be, it can have a spell save. Generally what that means is you cast the spell, and it's the thing that you are attacking or using the spell on gets to try and roll and see if they resist or are unaffected. So your spell save DC makes it so that I know what my monsters or my characters have to roll in order to basically elude your spell. Or, situation 2, your spells might have a spell attack on them, which means you are going to roll to see whether you get that monster or not. Again, these are all going to be pre-calculated on your sheet. That is one of the very nice things about D&D Beyond and then into Avray, is it's going to do all of that calculation for you. So with Fireball, I have a spell save. The monsters have to roll against Fireball. So they have to roll against Gorzrog's DC, or his spell save DC, which is 15. So, Goblin number 1 rolls an 8. He failed. He takes 30 points fire damage. Goblin number 2 rolled a 12. Still not as high as my 15. Goblin number 3 rolled a 16. Asshole. And so he resisted. He took 15. He's still dead. And then it tells me down here, 3rd level, I used 1 of 2 spell slots. Hopefully that's clear as mud for you. If you have questions, feel free to reach out. Like I said before, I don't have to do that dead horse. And we'll see you guys in combat.